Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Sorry, the birds are singing. Welcome back to Copperline Rattler Ranch. I'm Julia. We got all of the decking on the roof in the last video. And something we didn't show you was, the ends on the east and the west side were open because of the way that the I-joists were laying. Those are all closed off, and we did tarp the entire roof because we're waiting for our tape and waiting to decide what type of membrane we're going to put up there before we put that elastomeric coating on. We also have to build up the parapets before we can do that because that coating needs to kind of go up the edges so that the rainwater just slides right down. So the wind got pretty severe a couple of days ago, and we had to actually put boards and screw the tarps down so they wouldn't blow off. It was crazy. So today we're going to put in the pedestrian door, hopefully. And then for the two slider doors, we're going to just put temporary doors made out of OSB, just temporary, in those spaces so that we don't get any huge gusts that could come in and cause some damage. That would be the only way that we can figure that any kind of wind could do something damaging to the roof before we get the doors put in. So we don't want to put those doors in just yet, the actual doors, actual sliders, but we are going to put in some temporary OSB temporary doors in place while we're working on the roof to get it finished. That'll take us a little while. And then once that's done, we'll probably go ahead and put all the doors in and we'll be dried in. That'll be exciting. So this is the pedestrian door. Dawn got that in. Our opening was pretty tight on the height. So it took a little finagling to get it in place. And then we were a little bit wider than the door. It's a pre-hung door. So we had a lot of shimming to do. Now we've put the blue tape around there in order to keep the dust and the bugs and critters out. Until, we still have to do some fill in a foam insulation around that pre-hung door frame and select our doorknob and door lock thingies, whatever those are. Lock set, I guess. So I'll show you from the inside what it looks like. I would say we could have shown you, but this is the very first door we have ever hung. So what I would recommend is that if you need help or need some instruction on hanging a pre-hung door or even hanging a non-pre-hung door, just a regular door, search YouTube. That's what we did. We found a couple of guys who do this for a living on YouTube. They have a couple of YouTube channels. We just put in installing a door, installing an exterior door, or installing an internal door. So all of those will get you to a site with someone who's an expert at installing these doors, and just listen to all those tips because they're very, very helpful. All right, so this is the inside. You can see that blue tape glow showing through on this side and where the shims are. We did discover that all the work that Dawn had done on getting this door frame all squared back into square after the Great Northern Wall collapse kind of fell back out of square, but it was wide enough that we could get the door frame and the door in there square, get the door functioning properly, get it all attached, and then in those spaces, you can see the glow on those long strips. That's where we're going to put the spray foam. Now, I know purists who build natural materials, buildings, homes, and that sort of thing are going to be like, why are you putting spray foam? It's kind of tight quarters. It'll be a little bit difficult to get the mud to stick. So we're going to put spray foam, trim it off, and then we'll decide how we're going to finish off the edges of the door frame. This is the inside of one of the frames that we made for the temporary doors that are taking the space of our sliders. So Dawn built a very simple frame out of 2x4s. You can see that over here we've got 2x4, just a little box frame all the way around the frame for the door, and then a couple of 2x4s right in the middle, and that supports these OSB panels on the outside. On each of these we have one fixed panel and then one operative panel that can be opened. I don't know if this is locked, opened and closed, so that we can have access to the inside of the house. And Dawn went ahead and put the lock set in on this door. He did a great job. We also have the foam around there. We still need to do some more trimming of that foam. And then put a little bit of weather stripping in some spots that need to beef up the weather stripping. So those doors that door is done, basically. There's the bird and house. So next we're going to be working on soffits on this whole west side, because you can see that glow of the sunlight coming through. That's coming up from underneath. There's a small overhang there that will support the gutter and the water collection system, and that glow is coming from underneath. So we'll do work on those soffits today. And on the east side, we have a little spot where the birds are getting in, and Dawn's going to foam that up and get it closed. You can see the lock set from the outside of this pedestrian door that Dawn put in. I'll go over here and show you the other two temporary doors. So the temporary doors from the outside, we put, for example, this one, the side with all the markings is the closed side. We're keeping it closed. We have hinges in the middle, and then this side will swing out so that we can have access. Similar to this one, except that on this one, the striped board is the one that actually swings open. And we've put a little temporary swing latch on that, and we're going to put some latches on the other and a handle on this one as well. So that's how those are working temporarily. We're going to work on some things inside because we still have a lot of monsoon left, and we still haven't made our purchase of the membrane for the roof. We're discussing what type of membrane we're going to put down, and then we'll have to put the elastomeric coating on top of that. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with working on the bathroom instead of the roof. We've got probably about 5 to 6 weeks of monsoon left, maybe a little bit more, and we just don't want to get up there and expose the roof, remove all these tarps, just to have to put them all back in a hurry or have rain hit and we can't get them up, and then end up with a problem with the wood that's up there. So while we were working on the roof, while Dawn, Rob, and Seth were working up on the roof, we had a scaffold in the bathroom on the floor. It wasn't quite cured. So if you can kind of see these areas where the scaffold did a little bit of damage to that floor, we got to fix that before we do anything else in the bathroom. So right now, as it's curing, I should say, some of the sand comes to the surface. We're going to get rid of all that excess stuff on top, get down to the floor that we know we have to look at, decide what we're going to do as far as repairing these divots that are in the floor, and then we'll move forward with the floor. All right, I have some little piles of sand. That sand had kind of migrated to the top. Oh, I got to get this little hole here cleaned out. But you can see these are all spots where the scaffold, we had a tarp in here, letting it slow cure. I know it looked like it was cured before, it really wasn't. As a result, the weight of the scaffold and the weight of whoever was on the scaffold working underneath to help with the roof made these little divots in this floor. So we've talked about it, we're gonna probably try a form of leveling compound. And what we're going to do, our basic recipe that we used for the floor, we're going to make it super thin and pour it on there and hope that it does the same thing as a commercially produced leveling compound. We will add some Portland cement just to make sure that we get a nice surface that the thin set for the tiling can stick to, because the entire floor will be tile. Everything in the shower, with the exception of the earth bag walls, will be tiled. So this wall in the shower area will be tiled. The walls that we build on the outside two ends will be tiled as well, inside and out. The walls here will do a lime plaster and seal it with olive oil soap, similar to Cadillac, but it won't take as long because the soap is liquid and we don't have to rub it and we just brush it on. So we're going to try that. I got to get all these little bits, these little piles of sand swept up and just kind of redo and make sure I've got everything out of the little divots. And then we'll talk about when we're going to try that homemade, if you will, leveling compound. So while Don's working on the soffits, we have decided that the lintels on the inside of the house, we're going to go ahead and cover with mud. They're probably rough enough that they would accept the mud, but just to ensure that that's going to happen, I'm going to go ahead and staple some of this mesh, this wire mesh up there, so that we know for sure that the mud will grab. Mud doesn't usually like to grab onto wood, so it will usually shrink away. So we're just going to make sure when we get to that point that we're ready and we have all those lintels covered with the wire mesh. So, true story, I've been working inside the house all morning with my hat and my sleeves on. Habits. I don't need them inside. It's crazy. But anyway, here I am without my hat. I have hat hair and without my sleeves. Well, that's going to conclude this week's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Had a variety of things in there. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please put them in the comment section down below this video, and we will see you next time. Bye.